people who are pretty disingenuous about their view, and there's times where it comes out and the whole audience can see it and you can see it, and you're just like, just why? Just why are you like, you don't even believe this yourself, and you're propagating it on other people, and you know people will follow it, you know there's some cash there, you know but you're doing it anyway. You're doing it anyway. Like I've always thought in my head, you take a guy like Destiny, right? The Coomer Gremlin, as I like to call him, okay?
What do you call him? The what?
Coomer Gremlin.
What's that mean?
Well, like Coomer, like all he does is, he
What's
basically,
that word?
he's like
Coomer.
a degenerate, right?
Is that what a Coomer is?
Yeah, well, a Coomer, it's a little more mild than that. A Coomer is just like, kind of one of the higher values is just kind of having sex with everyone, right? As around, like that's what you do.
But he's like
coon.
bisexual, right?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, well, he's all kinds of separately. But the thing is like, I've often thought that there's times when I'm talking to the guy where I'm like, you don't believe that. Like there's no way you believe that. You're making it up, and I know you're making it up, right? And you'll catch him at times. You'll be like, whatever I got to say to win the argument.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah. I believe that.
Yeah.
I believe that, but it's like there are people who genuinely believe their view and are excellent debaters backing their view. And I love those engagements. You know, I live for those engagements. The problem is like it's 5% of them.
Right. A lot of people are just trying to win, right?
Well, not just trying to win, but I don't even have a problem with going into a debate with a mindset of winning it. If you're representing a view you believe.
Right.
You want to win the engagement, right. Whether it's a conversation or it's a debate. You want to win people over to your side. You want to even win the person you're talking to over to your side, you know. Or maybe sometimes you got to be brutal and destroy the view completely so people don't move towards it. Both of those are completely. I consider them both fine, and I think they're both effective. But the issue that I have ultimately is when you're arguing with somebody and you know they don't believe what they're saying.
There is a special kind of accusation that lands heavier than hypocrisy, heavier even than dishonesty, because it questions not what a man says, but whether he believes anything at all. To accuse someone of grifting is not merely to suggest opportunism, is to imply hollowness. A shell that speaks, a mouth that moves independent of conviction. When Andrew Wilson sat across from Joe Rogan and laid out his grievance, he was not presenting a scandal or a smoking gun. He was presenting a vibe, a pattern, a recurring dissonance between words and weight. The claim was simple in structure but brutal in implication. That Destiny, a man celebrated for debate and discourse, does not always stand on belief, but on advantage. That his positions shift not because reality shifts, but because leverage does. This was not framed as a one-off lapse or a moment of inconsistency. It was described as a recurring sensation felt mid-conversation, a creeping realization that the argument being presented was not anchored in internal agreement, but external utility. What makes such an accusation potent is that it does not require proof in the traditional sense. It requires recognition. Anyone who has argued long enough, deeply enough, knows the difference between resistance and emptiness. Resistance pushes back. Emptiness absorbs whatever shape it needs to win. Wilson's frustration was not with losing debates. He made that clear implicitly by distinguishing competitive debate from hollow debate. Winning, after all, is part of the game. Persuasion demands strategy. Rhetoric requires sharp elbows. None of that was the problem. The problem was performance without faith. There is something uniquely exhausting about arguing with someone who treats ideas as disposable tools rather than moral commitments. You can sense it when the tone never changes regardless of topic, when the emotional temperature stays flat while the position flips, when outrage appears on cue and vanishes just as cleanly. It feels less like a disagreement and more like sparring with a fog machine. Punches land, shapes form, but nothing solid ever stays in place. Wilson framed this as a betrayal not of etiquette, but of the entire premise of debate culture. Debate at its best is a collision of sincerely held worldviews. It is risky because it exposes belief to damage. When someone enters that space without belief, they are immune to loss. They can retreat, pivot, reframe, and rebrand endlessly. They are never wrong because they were never invested. And that, more than any insult about lifestyle or character, was the core of the roast. The references to sexual excess, to self-indulgence, to degeneracy were garnish. Color, provocation. What mattered was the suggestion that these traits reflected a deeper detachment from meaning itself. A man untethered not only from restraint, but from conviction. The conversation drifted into taxonomy, into labels and archetypes, because humans reach for categories when they are trying to explain unease. If someone behaves unpredictably, we look for a name that makes it legible. But beneath the joking labels was a serious concern that the audience watching these debates might mistake verbal agility for sincerity and confidence for conscience. Wilson acknowledged that many debaters enter conversations wanting to win. That ambition is not only acceptable, it is often necessary. Persuasion is not passive. It requires intent. The line, however, is crossed when victory becomes the only belief. When the goal is not to advance a worldview, but to dominate airtime, to farm engagement, to extract attention like a resource. At that point, the debate ceases to be a clash of ideas and becomes a performance optimized for revenue. View counts replace values. Clips replace coherence. And the audience, whether they realize it or not, becomes raw material. The accusation of grifting carries moral weight because it suggests exploitation, not of individuals alone, but of trust. People follow voices they believe are anchored. They invest time, loyalty, and identity into these figures. When those figures treat belief as optional, the entire ecosystem corrodes. Wilson's irritation was not academic. It was personal. You could hear it in the way he described moments of conversation where the mask slipped, where an argument was advanced with such obvious detachment that it betrayed its own insincerity. Those moments are infuriating because they waste energy. You cannot persuade someone who does not care whether they are right. You cannot refute someone who does not need consistency. And so the debate becomes asymmetrical. One side risks credibility. The other risks nothing. Joe Rogan's role in the exchange was less about endorsement and more about facilitation. His platform has become a crossroads where grievances, philosophies, and suspicions collide. By allowing Wilson to articulate this frustration at length, the conversation elevated the accusation from internet drama to cultural critique. This was no longer about one streamer. It was about a mode of engagement that rewards adaptability over authenticity. The phrase that hovered over the discussion, even when unspoken, was audience capture. The idea that once someone realizes attention is monetizable, every belief becomes negotiable. The line between persuasion and pandering dissolves. What matters is not coherence across time, but resonance in the moment. Wilson contrasted this implicitly with the rare debates he cherished, encounters with people who genuinely believe what they say, even when those beliefs are flawed. Those debates are invigorating because they are dangerous. Someone might be wrong, but they are wrong with their whole chest. You can push against them. You can change them. Or they can change you. But when belief is absent, debate becomes theater. Clever. Entertaining. Ultimately empty. The frustration, then, was not about destiny winning arguments. It was about destiny not needing them. About treating ideas like chess pieces rather than principles. About advancing positions that feel manufactured rather than discovered. And when Wilson said that you can feel it in real time, he was naming a sensation many viewers recognize but struggle to articulate. That moment when a speaker pivots too smoothly, too conveniently, when the argument lands without emotional residue, when the words sound right but feel wrong. That is the sound of grift. Not loud, not obvious, subtle, efficient, profitable, and devastating to any space that pretends ideas still matter.